So you're traveling and you got yourself a watch with a handy GMT function, but you're not quite sure how to use it just yet. And what's the difference between a flyer and a collar GMT? Not to worry, we got you covered. I'm Brandon, welcome to Crown and Caliber How To, where we show you the how-to on all the basics of watch collecting. Everything from removing links to using a chronograph. A watch with a GMT function allows you to track multiple time zones. It's very handy if you travel often or if you need to keep track of another time zone for whatever reason. Maybe your loved ones live far away and you just enjoy knowing the time in their city. GMT stands for Greenwich Mean Time, and all time zones throughout the world were based off this time zone, which is in Greenwich, London. That changed in 1972, and we now use Coordinated Universal Time or Universal Time Coordinated UTC, but a watch with a GMT function still works. Here's how to use one. First, there's generally two types of GMT watches. We have the flyers here on the outside, and we have a collar in the middle. We'll do the flyers first. A flyer style GMT allows you to pull the crown out to the first position and adjust the local hour hand independently from the other hands on the watch. As you can see in this Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean GMT, there's your traditional minute hand and hour hand, but there's also an additional hand called the GMT hand that rotates around the dial once every 24 hours. So right now, the watch's hour hand and GMT hand both indicate that it's 5 p.m. here in Atlanta, Georgia. As you can see, the local hour hand is pointing at 5 p.m. while the GMT hand is pointing at the 17 marker on that outer bezel. But let's say I'm traveling to Tokyo, Japan by plane, which is currently 13 hours ahead of Atlanta. Once I land in Tokyo, all I have to do is pull out the crown to the first position and set my local hour hand ahead 13 hours to 6 a.m. Notice how the date also skipped forward because Tokyo is currently 1 day ahead. So now the local time shows 6 a.m. and my old time in Atlanta, Georgia shows 5 p.m. Notice how the GMT hand hasn't moved. That's because my time in Atlanta, Georgia is still 5 p.m. That's how you use a flyer GMT. It's really that easy. You might be wondering, but my watch also has a 24-hour rotating bezel. Well, glad you asked, because that allows you to track a third time zone. So in Atlanta, it's 5 p.m. and in Tokyo, it's 6 a.m. the following day. For this example, the third time zone that we want to track is Los Angeles, California, because that's home for me. Los Angeles is 3 hours behind Atlanta, so ensure that the GMT hand points to 5 p.m. or the 17 on the outer bezel so it matches Atlanta's time. Now, since Los Angeles is 3 hours behind, rotate the bezel clockwise 3 hours so that the GMT hand now points to 2 p.m. or the 14 on the outer bezel. That's Los Angeles time. Remember that the GMT hand is still positioned at 17 or 5 p.m. on a 24-hour dial. In this watch's case, it just takes a little mental math. So now you're tracking 3 time zones. These GMTs are great. So we went over the flyer style GMT, we'll put that down, and we'll go over a collar style. This one is the Zodiac Super Seawolf World Time. A collar GMT works a little differently in that you can adjust the GMT hand independently from the other hands on the watch and the date doesn't change. It's more useful for tracking the current time in another location. Let's say that I live in Los Angeles and all of my coworkers live in New York, which is 3 hours ahead. I like to keep track of their time for meetings and all, so I pull out the crown and move the GMT hand 3 hours forward. So we pull out the crown to the first position and we adjust the GMT hand 3 hours ahead. Now, my local time is unaffected, and at a quick glance, I can check the time of my coworkers in New York. Bonus, did you know you can use a GMT as a compass? Yeah, it could save your life one day. All you have to do is make sure that So we're out here in the wilderness with our GMT watch and we want to use it as a compass. The first thing that you want to do is make sure that the hour hand and the GMT hand are synchronized to the same time. In this instance, the hour hand is pointing to 4 o'clock and the GMT hand is pointing to 16. So it's 4 p.m. We're good to go there. The next thing you want to do is lay the watch flat. From there, you point the hour hand to the sun and the GMT hand is pointing to your north. let's demo it. All right, so the hour hand, we point that towards the sun, which is that way, right there, all right? Hour hand's pointing to the sun, and the GMT hand is pointing that way. So that's north. Now, if you ask me, the GMT is probably the most useful complication to have on a watch. All right, that's it for this edition of How To. Until next time. Oh my goodness, it's hot out here. Why did we do this in the heat? I could have just used my phone. But hey, GMTs are cool. Is that? Yeah, that's right. That's the... Am I going north? Oh man, I'm sweating. This is terrible. North, south, east, west. Doesn't matter which way we're going. That's what GPS is for.